Yay, we did the things.
Yes, we did.
Hello, good morning,
Hi, good morning.
everybody.
Yeah.
So we are here. Feelin Lucky is back again for our Thursday session. Super excited. And this week I have a good friend of mine, Marcus Dilley.
Hey.
And I'm sure some of you guys saw the tag that I put above this, right? Pop star to all-star agent. Yeah, I did that.
Yes, you did. Oh,
I
Lord.
did. And I only I'm so proud and I love this guy so much. So I just wanted to go ahead and highlight Marcus is, I think at this point, are you a 3 or 4-time icon agent?
3-time.
3-time icon agent, not because of numbers that he's not 4. He's coming up on it with his years with his firm.
Yep.
Very exciting. But Marcus,
I have an interesting story about that as well that we may get into if we have enough time. So
yes, heck yeah. But a little bit of highlights about Marcus. Actually, I'm not even going to go too deep into it because I want you to tell us some of these successes that you've had the last few years. Do you mind like sharing that with us? Because there's so many.
About the music stuff?
No, about real estate. Success in real estate. Don't worry, I'll get into that.
You have to forgive me because I'm coming out of being a little ill. So you may hear it in my voice and I'm on some stuff. So I might be a little slow, but I'm going to give it my all. I'm usually a lot more energetic than this. But, so bear with me. So I will so I basically started in property management in 2007.
Wow.
And I managed a small property management company that was actually gobbled up by a larger property management company. The previous company had put me through real estate school and just said, hey, we want you to help us sell. It's kind of it's a extremely challenging experience. In fact, when I worked there, 12 people quit or got fired. I think I lost like 20 pounds while I was working there because I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. It was just super stressful. I paid my dues, Kayla, right in the early days. And this was
you were lucky. You just got really lucky, right?
Exactly, really lucky. Yeah, it's really all about luck. And this was when the market was crashing all around us, right? I mean, people were selling, the whole point of this particular company was they had kind of a boiler room on one side of it where people were selling blocks of properties to investors on the West Coast and making 30, 40K, on a phone call. And then, of course, that was right before the big crash. And so I ended up coincidentally doing a lot of short sales and foreclosures for these same clients.
Oh, gosh.
Not fun and a sad situation. I got to really, thankfully, and in an interesting turn of events, got to really serve them twice and in a special way because I was able to help them out of a major situation. And it taught me a lot about the industry kind of from the inside out, right? Because that education was invaluable. Having, seeing it from that side and really I worked for asset management companies and listed foreclosures. I did short sales for both buyers and sellers and kind of all over the map. So that was an interesting entrance. And then probably right around, I'm going to say 2015, I did a flip where I started a firm based on just my need to facilitate general brokerage because I was still doing a lot of property management. Right, and I really wanted to, once you're as engulfed in property management as I was, it's very difficult. I kept, there's that scene in The Godfather where he says, every time I try to get out, they pull me back in. And that is exactly how I felt because I just, I was just done. I was ready to get into sales full time. And it was really.
So now, and I want to pause you there. So for anybody that's watching, do you think that it was super simple when Marcus got started? Like, I don't think it was, but I do want to give, because I know Marcus is going to do it for himself, because I have to give you mad kudos on this. From that start, from that beginning to where he is now, to where you are now, you've gotten 5-star client satisfaction awards. You were top 1% of real estate agents, 100 most influential real estate agent recognition award. You were on the top of Top Agent Magazine, or on the cover, should I say, featured in American Dream TV, USA Today, CBS News, Fox, NBC, just to name a few. And I'm going to put a bow on this. Top 125 most influential leaders of 2022 by Success Magazine.
What the heck is that about? Like, I am still completely floored about that whole situation. I kept going, they might have the wrong Marcus Dilley. I don't know.
There's my face, but I don't know. Did they just Google it? Maybe it's not that.
Yeah, I'm still in shock over that one. So grateful and humble. And it's just, I'm in shock. So yeah.
So for anybody that's like getting started and they're a little stressed out, there's a lot happening. Maybe there's nothing happening and that's what's stressing you. Understand everybody has kind of, right, we've kind of put like, what do they call that? Put on our pound of flesh. We've given our pound of flesh to
Yes.
get to where we are.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But it doesn't always stay like that, which is amazing because you just flourished and I love it.
Everyone, you have to pay your dues, right? I mean, whatever it looks
Mhm.
like, whatever the scenario, however it unfolds in your life, it has to be done. I'm reading a couple great books right now, but one of them I'm reading currently. There's this incredible story about how you have to build up a process, how there's momentum, and
Yeah.
it's called the compound effect. Darren Hardy, have you heard of that?
I was about to say, that sounds like the compound effect. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's 1% better and all that, and there's in another kind of the same idea is when you're building something up and you're trying to reach some sort of goal. He talks about a block of ice being in a room, right? And that
Yeah.
it's 26 degrees, 27 degrees, 28 degrees, 29 degrees. You're clicking it up, you're clicking it up, you're clicking it up.
No
30
change.
degrees, 31 degrees, nothing, and then all of a sudden 32, it starts to melt, right? And
Mhm.
it's not that change from 31 to 32. It's all the changes that go before it. The same analogy applies to when someone gets frustrated or bored, or they feel like they're
Mhm.
not accomplishing anything. You think about the rock breakers who hit a sledgehammer on a rock 100 times, and the 101st time is when it breaks. And it's not that 101st time, it's all the times that go before it. But we want to see overnight success. We get tired, we get bored, we get distracted, and we don't realize that we're building up that overnight success. And when it drops, it's going to drop, it's going to fall out of the sky. But a lot of
Well,
people give up too soon, and they never see that.
well, and I think you make a really clear and good point with that. If anybody's taking notes, I hope you are, write that down. It's the compound effect, not just the name of the book, like you actually taking those actions over and
Right.
over and over again. But I would add to that, we get very distracted because I feel like we're seeing the what we feel is the instant results, the instant fame, the instant this or that, where it's like, well, so and so just got started and they went TikTok viral and now they've got 1 million followers. Guys, I will also tell you, followers are not going to get you business. It'll
Right.
get you attention, but it's not going to get you business. You can get even more business and success just by being consistent with your actions and being you. So that's a great point.
Yeah, you need engagement. Followers are great, eyeballs are great, but you need engagement to really build a community. So yeah, great.
Yes, community. I love that. So, as you're making this shift, so you went from property management, which my hat's off to you, sir, because that is not an easy place to be. Property management is its own beast. So, from that to
For
creating
sure.
your own brokerage. So, tell us about, I'm sure that was really simple. So, tell us what that was.
Excuse me. Sorry. Yes, it was a piece of cake. It was all luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I mean, obviously, it took a lot of ingenuity. It took a lot of intestinal fortitude. A lot of people helping. I mean, it's not a one-man show. There's so many elements that go into something like that actually succeeding. And ironically, even though, so I've always kind of believed things in my heart. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. I've really tried to worry about the what and let the how take care of itself. I think
Ooh,
that's
write that down. It's very important.
Yeah, that's a Kim Johnson quote.
Yeah.
I've really, really tried to do that in my life, and even in the music industry in the early days. I said, I know this is going to happen. I'm not sure how or when, but I know it's going to happen. I've always kind of felt that way, which is, I think, a little bit counterintuitive for a lot of people because they need to see what's
How?
happening first.
Yeah.
And if they don't see the how, they don't even get started. But done is better than perfect. And if you don't learn as an entrepreneur to fly the plane while you're building
Reading
it,
the manual.
yeah, it's you're never going to get there. But
Yeah.
it's the scariest thing in the world for people to do. And I always look at that scene from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where he's got this huge chasm to walk across, and he has to step out. I can see it every
Oh,
time.
I love that one. Yes.
Always bring this to my mind when I think about that step of faith and moving into that next level, which takes heart and character and sacrifice and fearlessness. And
Mhm.
he steps on, he puts his foot out and he steps, and as soon as he puts his foot down, that bridge appears.
Yep.
That's so much the way, and that's kind of the way this situation was.
I just got goosebumps. I like kind of forgot about that scene, but I visualized that more than once. It's so true.
Massive, massive. And this was kind of the way it was for me, and the way that this kind of developed. And ironically, the company I was with at the time, Unhooked, which coincidentally, Rich Tomasini was actually the leader of this sales team at this company. Everything works
Oh
together.
my gosh, no kidding.
I know, yeah. So he was the lead. I was the kind of the lead for the property management side, and he was the lead for the sales, general brokerage sales division side. And they decided to unhook their general brokerage division altogether and only do property management. And I had $4 million in listings at that
Yeah.
time. And so I kind of had a choice. I had to either refer everything out, right? Leave that company and go sign on with, Keller Williams or whoever, or I had to start my own brokerage. I mean, those were my only choices. And that's kind of how that all started.
Yep. So lonely road, starting your own brokerage, I'm sure. And yet fun, right? I feel like most people that I know that have moved firms, you and I have both moved firms, it's kind of exciting and scary. And always in the back of our minds is, I could just do my own thing. Like I'm fully capable of doing that. And then the forefront of our mind, I'm like, yeah, but then I got to worry about E&O and I got to do the paperwork myself. And then I am kind of all on my own. Do I want to? So what caused you to then, so while you're in this, right now you've got your own brokerages or brokerage, what was some of the biggest, or I would just say pinpointing the biggest challenge or mistake that you made during that of course we know now it all turned out wonderful, but when you were in it, you were like, oh man, like I'm in it right now. This isn't great.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first thing for me was knowing that, I had a deep belief that you are where you're supposed to be in life when you are equal parts scared and excited at the
Ooh, I
same.
love that.
Yeah, right. And that's how you're moving forward. Otherwise, obviously, you're devolving. Your life is atrophying if you don't kind of keep pushing forward through the pain, like lifting weights or anything else, right?
Yep.
And I think in that moment, I knew that everything I wanted was on the other side of my fear, was on the other side of my limitations, and I just kind of went for it. I just jumped, and
literally my mug.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Yes.
It's hard to make that mindset shift, and make no mistake about it, as that's all it is. It's just a mindset shift, and once you shift your mindset, doors start opening and you find yourself in opportunities, in rooms with people that you never could have imagined.
Isn't that insane? My husband, Ryan, I always point up because his office is above me. It's been a very interesting conversation because, as you know, we've been shifting to some different things as well, and getting around different people and different masterminds. And he said to me the other day, he goes, have you ever been on the phone with somebody and you think to yourself, what exactly did I do to get here? Because you're in a completely different level than I am, and I don't know why you're talking to me about this.
At least once a week right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think once you make that decision to make that transition, it makes it a lot easier. The decision is always the first part. So to answer your question, I think, just to be completely transparent, I'm a little bit of a fly by the seat of my pants kind of guy. I've always been that way. I've always struggled with organization. It's just the truth. And I like
visionaries by the way. Visionary, if you guys ever, great book, Rocket Fuel. If you're not sure which one you are, visionary versus an implementer. I know I am a visionary. You are a visionary. We're the creatives. We come up with a new idea every week that we want to implement tomorrow. And it's up to having a visionary to say, hold on, slow down. We're going to do this one, then this one. We need an operation manual for this one. I'll create it. Don't worry. You go keep doing your thing.
Absolutely. So, I'm incredibly blessed to have the most brilliant, creative, organizational genius I'm married to. She's just incredible on what she can accomplish. However, at that time, we had 3 kids.
Well, you still do.
Yeah,
they were just younger.
they were like 3 under 5, I think, is where we were at that point. And it was just, there wasn't a whole lot of that going on for me. No. So a lot of my struggles, were I to go back and do it again, I would force myself. I heard somebody say this the other day about if you're working a job and your boss says show up at 9 o'clock, you're going to be there at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
If they say you need to, go take the trash out, you're going to go take the trash out. But yet, if you tell yourself, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start this YouTube channel, or I'm going to, get down and organize myself or whatever, sometimes you just don't do it. Like you don't have enough, and he was talking about it's a matter of respect for yourself. And I think there's some truth to that, but I also think it's more complicated than that, and finding what motivates you, building a life, if I could go back, I would do better about building a foundation, building an atmosphere around me that would help support the goals that I wanted, as opposed to fighting against that part of myself that I knew was struggling with doing the daily habits that really lead to success.
The basics, right?
Yeah.
Like when we talk about foundation, it's okay, here's your foundation. If you're starting from creativity, that's the piece at the top. If you go upside down, it's completely thrown off. And you and I both go there. We're like, we're going to do a TV show. We're going to do this. We'll get there one day. It's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's
kind of happening right now. So
yeah, see? So that is one of the biggest challenges, is not having the foundation. Now, I'm going to give you kudos on that, though. What has anybody noticed here? Hopefully you've noticed what I've noticed. Even though it wasn't perfect, even though the systems weren't quite there, even though it could have been done better or more smoothly or in a different way, Marcus was still successful. Marcus was still successful with it. Why? Because he took massive action. Imperfect action is the way to go. If you just wait till it's perfect, you're never going to get it done. You're never going to get it done, ever.
Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction.
Exactly.
I love that. That's what you were about to say, and it's.
I was going there.
I think
that changed my mindset on a lot of things. Is I was very much a hesitator of like, well, it's not exactly right. People will judge me, right? That's usually what it is the judgment. What if I don't do it right? Now I throw posts out misspelled all the time. I'm like, I don't care. Just it's here. Grab the information. If you're more worried about my commas, then sorry.
Kayla, I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that 90% of the people who are limiting themselves, I think that, one of the saddest things in life is unrecognized talent or unrecognized opportunity or, possibilities. Right. And so I think that there are so many people that live this life of quiet desperation, and they do that because of that very reason. It's because they're stuck on, I need to know the how. And it is, and that I think it's human nature. It doesn't make people good or bad. It just is what it is. And, that mind shift where you can find a way to take that step of faith and know that you have to just move and let things fall where they may, make the mistakes and then build as you go is the one thing I think that separates a lot of those people. And the irony is they're right there on the edge. Like all they have to do is take that step, but they stay there, they stay stuck. And it's just unfortunate because I think the world would have so much more beauty and creativity and talent and success. And, if some of us would do that.
I love that. So in your very vast career, one thing that I'm sure a lot of people are kind of questioning, at least I want to know this answer. You were already through the recession, right? You came through 2007. I'm not going to say unscathed. I'm sure there's some nicks and scars there as you came through the battlefield, but you're still here. As someone who's already been through a difficult market, having started in what most would consider one of the most difficult markets of the last 3 decades, what advice would you have for an agent in coming into this shift of a market? It's a reset. It's not, we're going back to a more normal market. We've been in a very odd market, guys. What kind of advice would you have for somebody like that? And what was your biggest struggle that you had?
Man, those are great questions. Great questions. I think, number one is always mindset. I'm always going to go back to mindset. I'm always going to go back to that. You get what you put out. And, maybe it's positive affirmations. Maybe it's being around people that challenge you. Maybe it's reading the books that push you. It has to start in your mind, and you have to have a belief in yourself that the impossible is possible. You have to start there. You have to, because from there, that will open those doors, and you'll find yourself in those places with those people and doing those things, specific things that it takes, whether they're perfect or not, they are progress. And so, mindset is number one. Do whatever it takes to get to help yourself make that mental shift. Because when you make that mental shift, you'll make the spiritual shift and you'll make the physical shift. It all kind of follows, right? I think we're all thoughts, feelings, actions. Thoughts, feelings, actions. Every single person on this planet, thoughts, feelings, actions. And what a lot of us try to do is we try to change our actions. And it's like momentum. It's like it's too much power. You're 2 steps behind in the process. It's not going to happen. Some of us try to change our feelings, which maybe works, maybe doesn't, but it still doesn't really have the impact. The only thing we have any control over in this entire world is the way we think. And so if we realize it all starts there, to me, that's the key. And then to answer your second question, I think that back to the process, knowing that you're maybe building the plane while it's in the air and all that, but if I love this analogy about building a house, it's spiritual, it's mental, it's family, it's your body, it's everything. You're building a house, right? You have to, and I built houses back in my 20s. So and we're in real estate. It all works together, so
it's historical.
The house, you have to lay the foundation, right? You have to dig the footers deep. You have to pour the concrete wide, and you have to lay each and every brick of that foundation perfectly. Don't worry about the 3 bricks ahead or even the 3 bricks before. Worry about that one brick. Don't get overwhelmed with the process, but understand, and this is the key, understand that if you're building a 1,400 square foot ranch, your footers do not have to be anywhere near as wide or as deep as if you're building, a 40-story skyscraper.
Yeah.
And if what you're trying to build is a 40-story skyscraper, which I know you and I are trying to build, or more, whatever the case may be, you have to take more time and be more meticulous. And the pain and the effort that you have to put into laying each brick perfectly is a part of that mindset shift that will help you do the suffering, put in the work up front, so that then once you've built your building and it's in operation, it'll be much easier. It's much easier to keep something in momentum than it is to try to push it back.
You just had some amazing nuggets that actually I even took out of that with laying those foundations, because there's 2 things that I pulled out of that. One, yes, dream big, right? Dream big, but understand you need more time. And sometimes that's going to feel like you're hitting setbacks, right? Like right now I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm hitting setbacks with my sales, but it's because I'm making a shift to being a leader, to being a coach, to being a team lead, to providing that value to others so they can raise up. So for me, it's a shift because I'm going, all right, well, I'm building a different part of the building now. But the second piece to that, you're going brick by brick. Most of us lay 4 bricks and we're like, where's the freaking house?
That's
right. Where's the house at? The house isn't there yet. You're preparing for the house, but you got to still do that every single day. Come lay 5 bricks every single day. Come lay. And before you know it, not only are you complete with that foundation, the house pops and you don't even know where it came from. Anybody that knows construction, it's like suddenly a house is there. It's been 4 months and there's a house.
I love it.
Which is awesome.
That's incredibly powerful.
I do want to tag back to what you're talking about, mindset as well. So like Marcus was talking about, I hope you guys are writing a ton of notes because I'm going to like rewatch this and write notes. When we take action, that's one thing, right? Like, let's say we're building habits to go out and start working out. Great. If we just take the action, right? Some people say, well, just get up early and just start doing it. That will only get you so far. Then you've got the other part of it where it's like, oh, I want to feel motivated, right? We put motivational music on, motivational speeches on. The reason that doesn't last is because our mindset or our beliefs have not changed. Until you change the belief, nothing else is really going to matter.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Take it or not, doesn't matter, right? Because up here, you're like, I could still have a big butt. It's fine. I don't have to work out. Like, I can deal with that. But if our belief suddenly makes that shift finally and goes, no, I need to be fit. I need to be strong. I need this in order for my life to succeed. And we connect those 2. The actions happen automatically because our beliefs are there. It could go for anything. Like we were coming back from the beach and I saw something in the road. I'm like, what is that? We're on a busy highway. And I was like, oh no, it's a turtle. I mean, it was a turtle. He was massive. Like I can't even fit my hands. but there was tractor trailers and cars, and like some of them are swerving, and I'm freaking out because I want to get off the road to get the turtle. My husband knows this. The dogs are in the back. I take a hard U-turn, go park it, run across the street, hop the guardrail. Turtle did not make it. Tractor trailer got it. But think about this. It goes back to beliefs. If my actions were just, oh, that should be a thing that someone should do, is pull over on the side of the road, that's actions. My belief system is so hardwired that I'll divert an entire trip to go help an animal. It's just my belief system. So start having that with your business and see how that shifts. I did that, it was just a habit, but it became a belief that if I make these calls in the morning between 9 and 12, and I'm successful for these 3 hours of the day, nothing else matters. And when that became a belief, I couldn't live without it. Like literally, I would feel unwell if I hadn't made my calls, right? So I love that. And so I am going to tag back because I promised I was going to touch on this. You guys, Marcus has had a very intriguing past. So please tell us real quick about your pop star days.
Well,
how did you get into that?
Yeah, so I've been a musician. I've been singing. I have friends that are actual musicians. I cannot call myself a musician, but I'm
Marcus has a phenomenal voice. Do not let him put himself down at all. He has a phenomenal singing voice.
Well, thank you for saying that. I've been a singer-songwriter since I wrote my first song when I was 11. So I've been, into it for a long time. I picked up the guitar a little bit here and there, but I was really more of a vocalist my whole life. And then I was actually signed to an independent record label at 18 and recorded like a demo of 6 songs up in Nashville, and that kind of fell by the wayside. And then I was with a Southern gospel group for 5 years in my early 20s. We traveled all over, went to Africa on a mission trip. It was just really, really cool. Amazing stories there, and just really enjoyed, serving and ministering and being with those men because they were great people. And I'm not really a Southern gospel guy, so it's cool to kind of, learn this whole other culture and history, and it was kind of fun. And then I left that group and I got into it was technically a boy band. So it was right in the early 2000s, 1999. It was actually 1999 to 2004, so it was about 5 years. And we did, we had a lot of fun. We traveled and did, we had a single on the radio and was on TV and award shows and all kinds of stuff. So we had a lot of fun.
That's so fun. I love that. I have to highlight that because I found that I was like, no, that's got to be a fake story. And then I went looked it up. I'm like, dude, these songs are pretty good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there's several of them I still really like. So Rodney Jerkins actually wrote 2 of them. The one that was the hit, Rodney Jerkins wrote, and then Robin Thicke wrote a couple of them as well. And then we I remember being in his house in the Hollywood Hills. This is when he was still married to Paula Patton. And we were recording a couple of songs, and he had this song called Brand New Jones that was off of a record that he was doing at the time. And he came out and played this song on the piano, just acoustic. And we were floored. So Robin was trained by Brian McKnight, which is one of my favorite singers of all time, which I didn't realize that. And you could really tell the influence. And he's a great singer-songwriter in his own right. And has music. It's a shame because kind of the thing that he went through with the song that got sued and all that stuff, and that one song that got put out is just, his talent level is so much greater than what he got credit for. And then we'd have one by the Winans on the record, so it was we had a lot of fun stuff.
That's so cool. I love that. I had to highlight that. That's really neat. So final question for you, now that I've drilled you. Final question. What is one of your biggest, I'm not going to say regrets, but things that happened that actually made the biggest difference for you in your career? So something that was a negative, a challenge, but actually made a huge difference for you in your career, became quite the positive.
That's a great question. So my very first broker, Alicia Thomas was her name at the time, and now it's Alicia Grace. My very first broker, when I first got into the real estate industry back in 2007, I used to quote her all the time. Coincidentally, full circle, she has just joined our tribe at EXP.
Oh, no kidding. Wow. Welcome, Alicia, if you're watching.
How crazy is that? Yeah. So she's amazing. Been in the industry long. She's a wizened veteran to no end. Had her own firm and still has a property management firm on the side and also. Anyway, she told me, she said, really, really simple. She said, don't be greedy. One piece of advice for you, don't be greedy. And I love that she didn't, define that for me. I love that she didn't tell me
Mhm.
what that means. She let me define it for myself.
Yep.
And to this day, I've never forgotten. I've brought this back over and over again. And so to me, what that meant was when you start seeing big 10, 20, 30, $50,000 commission checks, or
Mhm.
you're working with a client and you realize the potential of money that you can make, it's easy to put your needs ahead of theirs because, again, human nature. But you
Yep.
refuse to do that. You fight that at every turn. You always, always, always put their needs ahead of yours. And so for me, it's been very simple ever since that day. I treated every single client as if they were my own family, as if it was my mom, my sister, my dad, my brother, whoever. And I always treated that money as if it was my money. You know, what would I do in this
Mhm.
situation? What would I do if it was a family member? And that has served
Yep.
me so well because that's one of the reasons why I've got 155-star reviews online and all that stuff, because I really have taken that don't be greedy to the level of serve others first. And when you
Yes.
do that, the money falls out of the sky. And when you
Yes.
put the money, people know, they smell commission breath, a mile away, and they realize you're not doing it really for them, and you lose business that way. So that's been a big part of what's built this great, community that I've been so blessed to be a part of.
That is so true. So true. So if anybody is taking note of that, if you're newer, if you're a veteran in the business, I think you've probably experienced it and maybe made that mistake once, right? You kind of your eyes glassed over and went, wait a second, I can make $50,000 on this commission. Holy moly. Yeah, let's do this. Versus how does this person need to be served? And I'll shout out to a friend of mine who's watching probably. And he's representing one of the professionals in our area in the sports industry. And this gentleman obviously has deep pockets. But the suggestion that was made to him wasn't yeah, let's go find you a $7 million house. This agent, who's a rock star, Edwin, if you're watching, instead he said, I don't think you should do that. Why don't we go find you a modest $1 million house and let me help teach you how to invest that money in other properties. So
Brilliant.
when you retire, or you get injured, you have something to fall back on. And the guy stopped and went, wait a second. So you want to help me invest? He goes, yeah, absolutely. And if you let me, I want to show you how you can make more money on your money. And from there, guess what happened? The
Oh
doors
yeah.
were wide open because he wasn't the guy that just wanted to go get the big commission check.
Right.
He cared enough to want to serve someone else at a higher level. So I love that you brought that up. And it's so easy to do, but sometimes we forget that.
It is. It's so simple. Treat others the way you want to be treated. That's it.
Mhm.
It's the golden rule, right? But
That's
money makes people do weird things.
it. It
And the
does.
irony is when you get caught up in that place, that's why I love that she said, don't be greedy, because it's so simple and profound. And she didn't define what that meant for me, so I was able to define it for myself. When you truly do treat others the way you want to be treated, you're going to be successful because they're going to trust you, and they're going to know that, hey, I can not only can I use this person because I know they care about me and my future, but I can
Mhm.
refer them to others, which is the whole point of our business.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, Marcus, thank you. Real quick, where can people follow you?
Facebook. I've got all the socials.
The socials.
So yeah, Facebook. Let's see. You know what? I actually have a really cool. I've only got a couple songs in there, but I put together a little YouTube channel, Marcus Dilley Music, and I've got a couple original songs on there. If you guys want to check it out, it's kind of cool. And then of course I'm on Facebook. I have it's Marcus Dilley on Facebook, and I've got Carolina's group at EXP Realty is the name of our team, and so that is also on Facebook. And then I'm on everything else. So feel free
I
to
love
check.
it. We'll drop that in the chat box once we hop off. Everybody can click and follow and enjoy. And thank you so much for being on. As always, you were a rock star. Love being in business with you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.